God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Napalm channel. Please subscribe if you're new, hit that like button and comment as we go. Today we're going to be talking about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, our upcoming MMO home, and their alpha progress update for January of 2022. Now they are trying to make streams from now on be quick hits, faster, and more heavy hitting information, more around the 30-minute mark. They'll be using pre-produced content mixed with the developers being live to discuss it, and they promise there will still be lots of beans. They also went on to talk about what does complete mean at this point in time in development, and they want to make it clear that when they say complete, they are talking about it's ready for alpha. The whole point of alpha is to make sure things are fleshed out and working. However, complete does not mean it is ready for launch. The goalposts are different for beta and of course for launch as well. Now let's talk about some things that are in progress for alpha, or should I say being alpha ready. They talked about vegetation being added now that they have so much through the HDRP pipeline. They are still going for performance here, not simply jaw-dropping graphics. They are balancing between being beautiful but want it to run as smooth as silk. Screenshots, by the way, looked absolutely gorgeous that I'm showing you now. They are using a render processing technique that they talked about in order to basically load large amounts of data, tens of thousands of in-house assets, for example, in one giant quick punch. Now they talk a little bit about classes. Adam has been taking the design documents that they have had for these classes and taking them further. You will see some tweaks and ability lines as they are putting them in the client. Attributes are being tweaked as well. They are trying to get the combat to be just right. They want it to be a strong suit, as it is something that we do a lot of, obviously, in MMOs. They mentioned that the Cleric is heavily being worked on right now, and they have done some work for the Paladin as well. Woo-woo! The fundamental design of classes is not being changed, by the way. They're just finding ways to push them further into their class fantasy. Then they talk about networking and the networking stack, and I know this might sound a little boring, but this is super important to getting us to alpha and getting a lot of the classes in the game. They showed off a video with Kyle who explained that they have been building their process for networking outside of Unity. However, to make it most performant, they're making progress to correct this. And I probably didn't understand correctly, but I think it's basically like a coding language translator for what Unity uses. I don't know. What I do know is that he shows the ping off and how quickly it responds by speaking to the server and then back to your PC, even with a ton of objects and information on the screen. So basically, they're doing some coding magic that does not tax the server hardly at all. I mean, it wasn't even barely showing at 0.1%. Once again, the goal is for everything while playing to be silky smooth, and the new networking stack that we will all be playing on in alpha is looking really good. This is insanely important and vital to the long-term success of Pantheon, and although I may not understand it enough, it's not taxing on the system. It has insanely good performance and it's super responsive. So I do know that for me as the player, that is really good for all of us. We did also find out that Kyle is actually a human, and he does in fact have to sleep sometimes, or as he calls it, defragment, for a few hours at least a day. But he does wake up in a cold sweat to continue working on the network stack and keep this progress going to get us to alpha. Then they show off the material library, which is some really cool looking materials. So these can be used for items to make them unique, but also for various textures and terminus as well. Now they hid the real names, so they wanted there to still be some mystery there, but these are all built in-house and they look amazing. You have to use your imagination and look at these textures and think of them as armor pieces, weapons, perhaps rocks, mining nodes, buildings even, structures, all that kind of thing. They showed off quite a lot of them and they looked really good. They want you to be able to see it and know what it is and be able to identify the material right away. They want there to be an identity to items, and it looks very impressive. Then they talk about NPC placement and logic. So it's mentioned that Sacred has been working hard on the placements of NPCs, throughout the world. And then Joppa talks about the NPC logic. Joppa says he doesn't want to share too much because he doesn't want to oversaturate our knowledge and ruin the game, but he says they have made significant improvements to combat. They have shown off combat awareness and how making decisions based on reaction to what the NPC is doing and how that changes and ebbs and flows through the course of battle, and how reactionary actions is really making combat fun and engaging, and they're continuing that trend across all the NPCs to varying degrees, of course. Real quick before we continue, I want to give a major shout out to the members of Napalm. Thanks to their contributions, I can get the equipment and gear that I need to keep this channel ticking, covering MMOs, RPGs, and of course, puppets. If you're interested in becoming a member of Napalm, please click the join button down below. It would be greatly appreciated. And a very special major shout out to the Lords of Napalm: Bounty Code, We Toke Bitcoins, Jared Woodhouse, Daimlos, and Farthest Reach. Thank you for your highest tier membership. Then they talk about pet system info. So we have some pet classes such as the Summoner, and we know that the networking stack needs to be complete to fully implement these pets or put them in the game. Joppa said they have to wait for the time that it is right to implement these classes and pets. The bottlenecks in the current networking that they have would cause issues to the stability of the server, so they are waiting for the networking stack to be completed. The Ranger gets lumped in there as well due to a unique system Pantheon has for the archery and projectiles and other things he said he will leave for us another time. And if you think about it, there was a time where they mentioned that for like what they were calling a crit hit at that time, you would have to manually aim or some kind of system like that. And of course, I'm sure it's much more than that, but we will see in the future. No matter what it is, it sounds kind of exciting. Joppa made it clear that the new networking stack solves a lot of issues that pets would reap on the current systems, but will be absolutely no issue at all with the new networking stack. But it has to get done first. Then they talk about animations. This is a big one for me, and it always has been. So a lot of people have obviously noticed the animations in the game right now in pre-alpha aren't up to par to current standards. Obviously, it's pretty typical, pretty standard process that animations come towards the end of development, but I hear a lot in the comments over the years that people don't like it, or they'll just say the graphics are bad even when they're showing off really beautiful graphics, and what they really mean is the animations kind of look choppy and stiff. Joppa explains that there will be some outsourcing to get animations completed. He says they want to make sure that every activity, or at least everything that needs it, has a unique animation. They also want to make sure things like animation breaks and other more complicated parts of the process are all in place and work well so Pantheon feels really good. Joppa explains that animation is a huge part of the MMO enjoyment for players. They are adding some new animations now, such as the running animation has been done, he says, but there are certain animations that they need to be further along in development to tweak it and make it feel just right. But yes, there will be some outsourcing to get those animations done quicker when they're at the point that they need it. They even said that for alpha animations, they don't have to be perfect or all the way there yet. I would assume towards the tail end of beta would probably be when absolutely you gotta get absolutely all the unique animations in the game, and a lot of them too. Then they talk about the system UI. Joppa says that the current UI designs are ready to be implemented, the new ones anyway. He talks about climbing being an independent system, and they want to unify all their UIs, and these things are necessary for alpha, so it is high priority. Although some parts of the UI will be done now, some will be done later and closer to alpha's launch. Ronak explains that 2022 is going to be fast and furious development and big updates, a lot of milestones to hit, and exciting times. Joppa says that they have really high hopes for 2022, and he says that there are so many things he's aware of on the horizon, and it is a very big deal. Minus explains how, when making the pre-recorded things, he drives Visionary Realms crazy with questions such as, can we show this? Can we show this? Can we show that? This was our alpha progress update for January 2022 for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, our upcoming MMO home, and I think it was very amazing. Right to the point, very quick, lots of information, good update, explained some things that the community might have been confused about, and just moved the notch further along. What Visionary Realms has up their sleeves for 2022, we will just have to wait and see. But it does look as though they are moving along great, and I do even believe that shortening the times for the stream is so that they can get that extra 30 minutes back for development time. And plus, punchier, quicker updates typically do better better for views, and that increases your audience, which increases awareness for Pantheon. Now, don't forget that Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is a crowdfunded project. I have the link in the description down below, but you can go to pantheonmmo.com. And if you're interested in this, you want to support it, and you want to decrease the time of development, then go throw some money at it, just like I did, and just like so many others have as well, to get this unique, old school spirited MMORPG with modern twists in our hands so we can play it. And no matter how long you may think it is before the game actually launches, just remember that we are a day closer. If you're new here, please subscribe, especially if you love MMO news and RPGs. We cover CRPGs, JRPGs, tabletop RPGs, and so much more. Hit that like button and leave me a comment down below your favorite thing from this development update for the road to alpha. It really helps with the algorithm. And until next time, my friends, God bless and happy gaming.